it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really also honored, and I think it's very important to realize that there are more participants who are not from the first EMBA course, which is very important for us. I would have the pleasure to talk about wineries, but because of the topic today, I will stick to clean. When we started actually 25 years ago, this course, WEC was trying to educate us to, let's say, understand international business and also think globally. And my approach here is like first to look at cleantech as a global business, and then also secondly from business like opportunity perspective, and then I also share with you some of my own experiences and how thinking has been changing during the last 25 years. And then of course, because this is like an educational seminar, I have also a question to you. This equation on the top right corner. I will explain that at the end of this, let's say, presentation. So I will not spend too much time to define our definition for cleantech here, of course. I share some of my personal involvement, and then actually I would like to share with you that is cleantech really like a new business? And then what is the global business volume looking today, and how does the future look like? And is there like a growth opportunity for Finland, what Juha was talking about? And I'll there also share some thoughts about what is the commercialization process, where I also include this proof of concept what Juha was referring to. So here is the definition, but basically we are talking about saving of materials and energy in different ways. I skipped this because it would take too long time. Actually, my career has been such that exactly during the start of this course, 89, I was involved in purchase process. We were purchasing in Sisuauto like 2,000 diesel engines, and the idea was that we were trying to meet California state emission standards. We were like meeting standards, not looking cleantech as a business opportunity. And it was funny because when we bought those engines, they were just on the drawing board. And like 4 or 5 years later, I met these Cummins guys on one of the planes from Helsinki to Hamburg. And they were saying that actually this was one of the worst deals they had ever made in their life. So I was able to negotiate that. And it was actually quite a lot of money at that time, because one engine price is roughly like a personal car. Then we also delivered mid-90s. It was like Autotech subgroup at that time, like 4 steel mills, like recycling plants, like Kuona Kasa in Finnish. But the idea was that these guys realized in Magnitogorsk, wherever that they have a like raw material where you still have like iron like 8%. And then we organized it so that we started to recycle it, and it was like using that, reusing that. Then of course we have a lot of global scale energy and raw material saving projects. In Outokumpu Copper we have more than 20 operations globally. Perlos we have 10 operations globally. So I was involved in this telecommunication network, cluster what Juha was referring to. I had like 10,000 people working for me. Then I started as a startup investor, having the responsibility to buy like coffee packages and toilet papers by myself. So it was like a big change in my career. Then actually I have been also involved in designing and planning like a privately invested cleantech, we call it the Chinese Fusion Green Tower Business Park, which is ongoing and proceeding. I spent some time in China doing this. This was quite interesting to understand how Chinese are thinking, and it's very important because China is today one of the biggest potential markets for cleantech. Then I've been acting as seed investor and also like a bigger team, managing partner, and I left this company 2012, but they were stock listed this year, obviously not with a very good success, but anyway they were stock listed, so that part is also known to me. And today I would say like a pre-seed investor in Finnish early phase cleantech companies. So I'm really looking from inventions and developing these ideas. So basically every week I meet at least 1 or 2 inventors and discuss about how to proceed. So this is what I do today, moving from big companies to very early phase investments. And I think it's really fascinating. So is cleantech new business? So actually, 1870s and 1880s, there were already like 6 million water pumping windmills operated in America. So this technology still exists, but it's not so important. But it was like cleantech used by wind. Then 90% of New York taxis, 1899, were electric vehicles. Did you know that? So actually, there was a heavy competition between different technologies, and you know that today again there are some electric vehicles, but not so many. And also water heating systems, so that 1891 water heating systems using solar energy were coming to the market, and between 1937 and 41, 80% of new homes built in Miami were solar equipped. And then during the first half of 48, more than 75% of the single family residences were solar type. So it's like passive energy houses or whatever. So actually there have been quite many technologies utilized, and it would be a too long story to explain why these have been losing in the competition. But we can say that cleantech as a technology is nothing new. Most of these issues have been on the table in the business quite a long time. But cleantech is very fascinating industry because it is a big industry. So it is expected, this is like Roland Berger Strategy Consultants, that by 2025 the size of this business would be 4,400 billion euros. And here you have what will be the biggest sub-areas. You can see that energy efficiency, sustainable water management, clean power generation, material efficiency, sustainable mobility, waste management and recycling will be the biggest areas. So actually there are a lot of areas, a lot of opportunities. Smart is new green. And actually after the Nokia cluster collapse, we have a lot of people who know this area. And many of the ideas I'm talking with are somehow related to Nokia. There is Nokia team behind. Like next week I will meet some Nokia team. They didn't tell me anything about the invention. So almost every second week there's some Nokia team presenting something new which is somehow related to cleantech. But there's also this smart telecommunication or some kind of like communication element related. Here's one let's say important slide which shows that how is this power generation going to be happen 2020. And you can see here that this part is coal. And actually still majority of energy will be produced, or actually substantial part will be produced by coal. And if you look at the biggest areas, you will notice that they will be North America and China. And this actually is related to the equation I was showing in the beginning. I will come back to that a bit later. Then there are also like different kind of global energy trends to watch. This is very important to understand. And when we talk about, if you go deeper, I don't have time for that, but if you go deeper and look at the possibilities, do we have in Finland knowledge on these areas? You will notice actually we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of companies, a lot of possibilities to spin off from existing big companies on these areas. So it is not very well developed, but we will have a lot of possibilities here. Okay, my, let's say, learnings about cleantech after these 25 years. So what happened in telecom industry is that we experienced this high clock speed global industry, which really was high clock speed. So it means that practically I was invited to Nokia headquarters at least once a month. They were telling me that Rautiainen, you had to go there and do that, and basically it was really also like new technologies were implemented and so on. And this is also true with cleantech applications. You have to understand that if you want to be successful, you have to have like global approach to the business from the beginning. Also, we have a lot of promising inventions and spin-offs on many fast-growing cleantech areas. But these inventors and startups, both, because they are different. Sometimes inventors, they don't want to establish a company. They just want to sell the licenses and get rid of them. And then, of course, we have heard quite a lot about startup companies because that has been mainly driven by students. And this movement has been lasting like 5 years in Finland, which is very positive, by the way. But they need support in commercialization and really understanding this globally. And this competition of technologies and business models is also global. Like today in wave energy area, I think there are at least 20 different technologies competing with each other. And it's very difficult to tell which technology is going to win. And from communication industry like video technology, we know that not always the best technology is winning. There are other factors which dominate, let's say, the winning technologies for the future. And then also, if you think about like inventor, he has a good idea, and you need to have like global understanding. How you get global market intelligence? And Tommy knows that we are working for Eera, and that's actually one of the beautiful things what we have there in those projects, that we are able to get this business intelligence, which is very important. But for normal inventor, normal startup company, this might be a big obstacle. And then also what is important, that the convergence of different small players. Already from the beginning, you have to think about like at least Finland and Nordic countries, that who are the players? What are they doing? Should we start to talk to those companies? And actually that's exactly what we are doing now in many companies. And this is also something new. But if you don't do it, then someone else will come to you and say that basically we are running the game here and driving the show. We have very few examples. We have quite a lot of failures, like European batteries, and it's still in bankruptcy state, I think. And we have few examples. Back on, let's say, Taajuusmuuteen Finnish business is actually quite interesting, and maybe you have noticed that they sold this business with more than 1 billion euros to Danfoss, to this Danish company, which is a clear success. Then also what is important here is that when you talk about green, I use this as a synonym, green and clean. You have to think about new business models, business concepts, what is the value proposition for the customer. And sometimes you have to like rethink the business model from the beginning. So new business models are needed to penetrate to the market with new value proposition. And very often also there is no infrastructure. You have to create the infrastructure, and that's why this Kai was talking about this forest industry infra, and it's very important because that's a kind of platform, basis for new innovations, and hopefully also forest industry speed of, let's say, change will be faster in the future. I hope so. And what is important here is that I have noticed that because I have background also from big companies and now been working since 2005 with small companies more, it is very difficult to get piloting expertise, piloting discussions with big companies. And during this financial crisis starting 2008, most of the companies have been streamlining and not investing anymore in R&D or development. But now, just lately, we have seen some, let's say, signs that this will be changing. And I was just in Fortum this week, and they were saying that very few people call them. Well, I've been trying to call them, and so far they have not been interested. So, I mean, that's a very simple reason that people don't call them. But it's changing. And what we can do as this group, we can open doors. We can help these people invest to, let's say, discuss with these bigger companies and like create some kind of development path, which is very important for the future of Finland. Here is one, let's say, electric vehicle industry value chain. So basically, this is very important to think about on global basis. How is this working? Who are the investors and so on? So, what are the challenges in commercialization? So, you have to understand the whole chain, from idea to invention, commercialization, and global scale. And in many cases, people have great possibilities for this invention. They have technological know-how, they can do it, but then when we start to talk about this proof of concept, so is it really working? You need some let's say, expert to understand that is it really working? Show me. I don't want to have your presentation, show me. And then of course, is someone willing to pilot? I was just talking, I cannot say the name, I was talking to one guy, it's stock listed Finnish company, who has this company as an investor in his startup. And basically, they have agreed that if this guy is able to put together this system, it's quite interesting. Let's say different kind of let's say central type of system. so they will be the first pilot customer. And this kind of, let's say, commitment, we need companies who have commitment and courage to do things which can also fail. In many cases, most of these cases fail. I mean, if I start discussions, my sort of kind of assumption is that 95% out of those discussions go nowhere. But I cannot tell which one is that 5%. And what we have also experienced is that during this funds crisis, vision, strategic renewal, and risk-taking have not been very popular. If you think about telecom success in Finland, how did that happen? Government was actually very active because they liberalized like operators, business in Finland, and also they made very brave decisions about the new technology in networks, NMT and so on. How it is today. I mean, government has no vision about these issues, and we were too much relying on the telecom cluster capability to carry on and continue the development of Finland. That was a stupid mistake, but of course it's easy to say now. So there are areas, and this is a good picture to answer that. Do we have capability in Finland? If you look at these 10 different technologies and markets to watch 2020, you will realize, and if you know more about this area, you know that Finland has quite a lot of possibilities to offer here. So advanced batteries and energy storage, I'm investor in one, let's say, energy storage company. And let's see how that's going to, but that's still in the proof of concept phase. So we have not been able to prove yet that this functions. Smart grid, we have actually quite a lot of know-how, software and things like that over there. Fuel cells, I was actually in one stock-listed company called Sencorp, which is active on solar cells, solar PV, and they know also about fuel cells and so on. So we have a lot of know-how, but so far we have not been very successful to utilize this know-how. And here is the answer to the, let's say, equation on the first page. So basically, this is actually a very important equation, and it is driving the development of clean tech. It means that renewable energy cost has to be lower than the cost of coal. So far, coal is still dominant, and as long as we are unable to develop this business to this level, real change will not happen. But that day, obviously, we will also see that this will happen. And we are talking about wind energy, which is closest to that, and also solar energy, which is also pretty close already. And here, as a summary, the drivers here are not anymore that we have to, let's say, comply with the climate change. Of course, that is the key. But if you really want to get something done, you have to understand how the company, what is the company motivation to do it. And normally it is cost saving, or then it is possibility to have new business, strategic direction, and in many cases also it's image building. It's part of the brand. I think you also mentioned that it's part of SS Group, which is very important. But you have to understand what are the real drivers behind the behavior, not what people talk in these committee, let's say, reports or elsewhere. And also, clean tech industry has the opportunity to transform markets dramatically in the next years, and it will happen. The thing is in Finland that we have committed to, let's say, nuclear energy, and I don't think that it's so good for Finland because it's not actually developing the network, the platform. We should be looking more at these renewable resources because we have knowledge on that area. So basically, this is, Juha said that we are like forerunners. So 25 years ago, we were also forerunners to the pool in Lahti. so you can see that most of us, maybe you can still recognize. So thank you.